Hey, what's up everyone? Morey Croson here, and today we're going to be talking about balance for quarterbacks, and we're going to start the video right now. This is the newest edition of the Performance Lab.
Reach your individual goals. You don't want to just talk about straight line speed. We also want to talk about your ability to be quick. We break down your video. Let's make you into the quarterback I know you can become.
All right, so this is really going to be something that is great for younger quarterbacks. I think it could be an effective thing to be able to get if you're in high school or college, but a lot of guys that are in, kind of those older years have a good understanding or a good establishing, baseline of how to balance themselves. But, a lot of times working with younger athletes, the big thing ends up just being, where is balance and how to be able to establish balance in order to be able to throw the football, right? If we're going to think about how to or when we're going to try to generate the most amount of force, the most amount of power, we want to think about being in a balanced position. We're not going to be able to do that if we're off balance. We have to be able to establish something that is going to be in a controlled spot. So, when we think about control, we want to think about being in a good solid base, right? We don't want to have our feet too close together. When your feet get up close together, you have more ability to sway, forward and back. Okay, we want to be able to have a good base. We want to have our knees bent. We want to have our butt kind of back behind our knees, right kind of right over the heels. And we want to have a slight forward lean within the spine. Okay, we don't want to end up being back with the spine. We don't want to have our hips too far through. We don't want to have our knees too locked out or too straight, right? It's important to be tall as a quarterback, but we don't want to end up being, so tall that we have all of our weight on our heels. We want to be able to be, knees bent and feel comfortable in that position. And then from there, when we take our step and get ourselves loaded, we want to be able to do that in a way that's going to shift our weight back, right? So as I'm loaded here, I feel pretty, like my weight is in a position where I can move forward and back pretty easily, right? And that will make it so then in the pocket I can go and move forward, move back. And I know in your younger age groups, you're not going to be doing a ton of shifting in the pocket, but we still want to be in a position that, again, is balance and control. So if we need to take a hitch or something like that, we could do that effectively, okay? But now, once I get going and I start to throw and I'm able to load, right, this is where I start with so many quarterbacks is just load, right? Just be able to do that so super well, right? And be able to create, start the rotation within the hip, start the rotation within that back heel, right? Make it so you can establish where my balance wants to be in that back leg, and just be able to do that to, whatever side of the field you need to be able to do, and just feel really comfortable in establishing a balanced position when loading, right? So if I'm here, I'm loading, I want to be balanced, I want to be able to take a good step here, so then I can continue to transition my weight onto my front leg. As I transition my weight onto my front leg, I want to be able to feel balanced in that position as well. And one of the things I talk about, especially when it comes to adding velocity, adding distance to the throw, is making sure that as we shift our weight onto that front leg, we're almost pushing down through the heel. Right? I think some people end up getting so much weight shifted on their front leg right away, right? If you don't work the load enough, what ends up happening is that when you load, you end up loading and doing this, right? And getting all of your weight forward, which then makes it so as you start coming through with the ball, you really have nowhere to go. So you end up pushing with your front of your toe back and extending the knee and getting into this position. This is just not going to be a great power position. It's not going to be a good balance position, right? You want to be here, right, keeping that weight back, having more weight on the back heel of my front leg and the toe of my back leg, so then as I shift forward and through, I'm able to do that and drive through that heel, so then all of my weight shifts off of this front leg and lands into, I say heel because I think that helps in being able to really, push through with my front hip, but it could also be kind of that middle part of, the middle part of your foot, okay, or the outside part of the middle part of your foot. Right, it's going to be a little bit different for everybody. It's not going to be, something that is the same for each person. There's going to be, there's not one way to throw a football. There's a million different ways to throw the football. Each person, though, has one specific way that is going to be great for them or the most effective way for them. And so I challenge you to be able to really find that and establish that and make it so it's something that is, your own. And if you take the time to actually practice how you want to load, how you want to finish, it will make it a lot more effective for you to actually be able to throw a higher velocity throw, a deeper throw, be able to get into a 3-step drop, a 5-step drop, 3 and a hitch, 5 and a hitch, all that stuff's going to be a lot more easy if you're able to have the right fundamentals, right? You're going to have a lot more success in algebra if you know how to add, subtract, multiply, and divide. But if you go right into algebra without having those fundamentals, then it's all going to become a lot more difficult, right? So if you could really slow things down, I know a lot of you guys want to be, NFL quarterbacks at 12, right? But it's just not the realistic progression. You got to slow yourself down. You got to understand how to establish your base. You got to establish where balance is when you load, how to be able to shift your weight onto your front leg, and really, again, taking the time to establish those parts of it, right? Where you want to be when you're in the pocket, where you want to be when you load, where you want to be when you finish, and making sure you can own those positions and be very, very comfortable in those positions will give you the framework to have a lot of success as a quarterback. So as always, if you like the information, click that thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. If you have any questions, comments, or recommendations, leave those down below. We're just adding so much value to you guys. I've been getting a lot of feedback lately. A lot of people leaving great comments. I really appreciate that. I want to give you all a shout out here on the video real quick, just because it keeps it all going, right? It keeps me motivated. I think that the content has gotten a lot better here recently, and I want to keep that coming for you, and I appreciate the comments. I see all the comments. I get back to them as much as I can. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. And I really appreciate all the guys that are watching these, and I hope that you guys continue to get better and continue to watch this stuff. It's going to really propel you in more ways than just as a quarterback. So really appreciate it. Thanks for watching. Check out some of that Throw 60 stuff down below, and we'll talk to you soon.